Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer Inside. Our capital region adventure continues. We are in downtown Albany, New York, and joining me from the Bull and Bee Meadery and Tasting Room is Ray and Dan, mazer / mead maker and GM / co-owner of the Bull and Bee. Mm-hmm. Guys, thank you very much for hosting us today. I look forward to tasting some of these tasty looking meads. Let's start with number one here.
The white can is Genesis. In Greek, that means the beginning. Okay. It's the first mead that Ray made for us. So I'll go on to his description because he's the expert.
All right, what do we got here, Ray?
So that is a traditional dry mead. Basically, honey, water, yeast, time it takes to ferment. That's it. Like a dry white wine. Best served chilled, in my opinion, but ambient or room temperature for the heathens. That's, it works as well. Great in cocktails as a neutral spirit.
Awesome.
It's really nice, incredibly versatile for flavors.
What's the ABV for this?
That's a little, right now I'd say it's about, that batch, a little over 13%.
13%?
Yeah.
Drink responsibly. Oh, sorry. Enjoy responsibly and don't drink and drive.
That's right.
There's also, it's really good with mixing too.
Okay.
One of our most popular cocktails here is Zeus Juice, which is a pint glass over ice, filled with that little bit of club soda or seltzer and cranberry juice. Especially like out on the patio, you don't even know it's there.
Oh yeah, awesome. It's refreshing. It's definitely goes down easy.
That's what you do. I told us.
I'm not drinking at the moment, so got to take time off. You know, you can't get high on your own supply.
14%.
So it's
almost, yeah.
It's still
does not taste it.
14, you would be able to tell. It's a little over 13. At 14%, that's when you get a boozy bite. Mm-hmm. So right now, we like to keep it right under that. So unless it's meant to have that little bite to it, but smooth. That is a chilled version of it. It's really nice.
Super clean. Does not taste overly boozy in any way. It's very, very tasty.
Yes,
incredibly tasty. So guys, what got you into
going around?
So
never trust a meadery that doesn't have flies, because then they're doing something wrong.
Or bees. I mean,
so that's all we get bees all the time.
Bees all over the wall. Yep.
So guys, what got you into mead? I mean, it's not frequent. It's either beer or wine.
Well, the project started in 2019. The majority owner, William Yeager, he's a local businessman. He owns Patio's Barbershop, which has been open since 1930, continuously in downtown Albany. Tattoo shops and the Fuse Box, which is a nightclub venue, had been making. He was a street punk in Albany in the 80s, and he had been making mead on the side, like while he was rocking around the block, so to speak. And then in June 2019, New York State put out the farm meter license, and he had wanted to start business. He was talking about making mead, starting it again, and his friend John Kern from Albany Distilling, they were out one night, and over drinks, John was like, "Why don't you just start a farm meadery?" And Trad's like, "I don't know." His nickname's Tragedy, so we call him Trad for short. Trad was like, "What do you mean?" And John kind of gave him the nuts and bolts, and he came in on Monday and said, "We're opening a meadery," because I'm his general manager for a bunch of his other businesses. And I was like, "All right, I want in right from the beginning." So he knew Ray for what, like 6, 7, 8 years?
Probably a decade.
A decade before that.
About that, yeah.
And he had known that Ray made mead on the side also. And since he's a multiple business owner, he's not able to be here all the time. Mm-hmm. So Ray was able to come in and start making mead for us in June of 2020. 21.
That's when we got our
we got it April.
I came 21. Back up here early 2020. I don't remember.
Just
I don't know. Mid-pandemic.
It was sometime in the pandemic.
It's we literally did an interview between a festival and a pandemic. It's like one pandemic later.
Yep. Yeah, basically.
Wait till the next one.
Oh God. Hopefully not in our lifetimes.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's it. It's come up 2021. I mean, I don't know how crazy the lockdowns were in Albany. I know where we live, it was crazy, but starting a business during a pandemic, that's wild.
Yeah, we had
no risk, no reward.
Right. We started the licensing process in June of 2019, and we actually got our conditional liquor license to open in September We had heard back from them in September of 2019 saying, okay, you've been registered, we're going to go through the process. Then in March of 2020, literally 5 days after the state, 4 or 5 days after the state of New York had officially locked down on a Saturday, that Wednesday we got an email from the state liquor authority saying, congratulations,
you're essential.
you have your license. Yeah, well, no, you have your license. You can move forward with opening. And since Trad owns a number of other businesses, we were focused on opening those. He's a part owner in this building. So we had the location already picked out, but getting it open, we finally got we submitted everything for our full licensure in September of that year of 2020. And then they gave us our conditional license to actually open in March, but we had that extended to the spring because you had like 6 months because we had to get final floor plans, make sure the health department was in, make sure it matches all the architectural drawings, etc. And then we did soft openings in April of 2021, and our grand opening was May 1st of 2021. So we're pretty new, even though I've been working on the project for over 4 years now, since June 2019. But yeah, we Peter from Helderberg Meadworks, who we still carry their stuff here, was instrumental in helping us get out because we didn't have the way it works is that the liquor authority does not give you the permission to make mead. It's just the ability to sell. Mm-hmm. And the farm meadery license, which I think we can expand on later.
We're going to talk about that shortly.
Gives us the ability to sell any bottles over the counter along with New York State sourced and produced beers, ciders, and other wines and liquors. But we didn't have our own mead because the health department hadn't approved us in our kitchen to actually make the mead, like through the codes and stuff. And that didn't come through until I think late June.
Yeah, that's when we started. Like as soon as it came through.
Yeah, we just had boom.
And because of the licensing, you have to have 50 gallons made a year. And I'm like,
yeah, that's
I'm like, and that's you do that in my sleep now. So it's it's ridiculous the turnaround and things have been. It was a slow burn at first, but it's all come full circle because it's all educating palates and people have become so used to preservatives and artificial everything and microplastics and everything else. It's awful. So to get something that's organic and just natural ingredients and good water, it's right from the start is shocking to the system. So especially if you're not familiar with mead already, a lot of the problem is that people think mead instantly Vikings. They're like, the Norse and this and that, da da da. Yeah, they made it popular. Yeah, every culture has had it. Every culture, and there's all different types, all different ways of producing it, making it. No matter what, you come down to the raw form, honey, water, yeast. Yeah. But it's getting everyone to understand in their palate that it's like, what is this? It's new, it's natural, and it's just, unless they've been on a raw diet their entire life, it won't just come to them naturally. Yeah. So, it's always a issue, and some people don't take to it, and they're like, oh, this isn't for me. That's great, you can keep drinking something that's, obviously bad for you, or you can go a healthier option, which is never going to be regulated as a healthier option because there's no money involved in it. So that's another story. There's no money in keeping people healthy. Yeah. It's only in curing symptoms and not.
I do feel a craft drinker like myself is more than willing to experiment with meats.
And
look at me. I discovered you guys through a passport because I traveled to Albany Pump House, grabbed a beer, and they're like, here, discover everything in the area. I'm like, ooh, thanks.
Oh, yeah. And there's traditional ways to brew as well that's without having to use chemicals. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. But for educating palates and getting people dialed in, everybody thinks honey wine. Okay, it's going to be sweet right off the bat. Not sweet at all. No. And that's just, you can have it sweet. Making it sweet makes it a little more pleasing per palate. So most people like it sweet over the dry. I'm more of a dry person. I want it bitter. I want it dry. I like it. None of our stuff is bitter because we don't let it sit like that. We have a different process. Still similar to everybody else that makes mead or wine. We just do what works for us and helps us stick out.
It's I feel like mead it's slow, but it is growing. It's very slow though.
It is growing, and it's a lot of it is there's more people now keeping bees. It's documented. Even keeping bees helps. There's something with just the symbiotic relationship with having an apiary and keeping bee boxes on your property and everything. It helps with longevity, and it's giving back. Bees don't use their entire yield of honey, but that goes into nature. That goes into feeding other wildlife, and it could be sourced like we do into making a delicious product.
I understand, like, it's gotten to the point where there's an overbee population now in North America.
I mean, if you go by volume, yes, but only because there's been such a decline overall. Between pollution and climate change, it makes things horrible, especially if things are over wet. You get hive collapse from fungus and from mold. It's like there's so much strain on bees, and it's one thing that just to keep mindful of, like for people that do want to have their own bees, where they keep it, where they put their bee boxes, keep it, the shelter. Winters have been bad. You have to look out for frost. You can have full failure on the hives.
From what I understand, on average, there's at least a 60% loss of bees from winter.
Yes.
So,
and it's unfortunate, but as long as people keep wanting it on their property, you have a large amount of property, go for it.
Yeah.
People are doing it on top of commercial and residential buildings and city skips too.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that because I know, like, where we live, there's rooftop gardens. I live along a bike path, and now they just don't cut the grass like the entire summer because they want like the natural life to thrive there. So it sounds like Albany's like, we gotta step our stuff up here.
I think there's a few people who've come in that have like one or two hives like around, but I hear a lot more from like either like being out selling or from like definitely down in the city, like New York City, huge Buffalo a little bit, but it's definitely much more common.
Okay.
Even just since the beginning of us opening, like we hear it more, and especially of like
a lot of what affects bees also in more urban areas are not sustaining natural flora. So like people who they want a cropped prim yard of just a specific grass, and they do all that and they weed out everything else. That's you're neutering your yard, where you should be harvesting your seeds. You should be having whatever natural flowers come, like wildflower, clover, whatever grows, leave it, but a lot of people have gotten into that routine of wanting, like, I want my grass, I want this type of grass, and that's it on their entire yard, and that doesn't help the ecosystem at all.
Yeah, the pride of a clean, like, nice, clean green lawn is not a good thing.
That's, that goes back to the 40s, the 50s, with that mindset of the, the nuclear family.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2.5 kids and a dog. And,
no bees.
2.5 kids. It goes to that. It's like a visual sterilization. Unfortunately, you could thrive without all that, and it's changing. Like I just got back from Europe, and there's a lot of hotels that have a lot of big open yard property for when they have events, but on the edge of that property, they have bee boxes going, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was something that I noticed that they don't do here, but all over France, all over Germany, Belgium, Upper Netherlands. I was amazed, and that's the first thing I would look for, because I would sit there and I just watch, and I would watch to see how they reacted, whether it was early morning, midday, nighttime, just to see, what was coming back, what was going out, the activity, just to see how they, were people as kids running around and everything. No problems whatsoever.
That's a that's not just American. That's a North American mindset that's got to change. Even in Canada, we don't have that. We don't have rooftop gardens. We live in Montreal. It's the concrete jungle. It gets hot.
Yeah.
Not as hot as New York City will get, but it gets hot in Montreal.
Yeah.
So it's something that has to change, and we want a betterment for. I don't have kids, but maybe your own kids and your grandkids at some point. You want a better world for them.
Yeah.
And bees are part of that. And bees make honey, and honey makes delicious meat. So.
In New York State, which is cool, across it, it's all wildflower and clover honey. Our honey is sourced from within 30 to 45 minutes of Albany, so it's all within the local Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
So keeping it, which helps with
you can tell, it keeps with the consistency. Yep. Every once in a while, you can tell a little something's different in there. Not bad, different. Yeah. Like you'll get some ground cover that flowered. You'll get some tree blossoms like dogwood. You can tell depending on the yield and the harvest, sometimes a little sweeter, the color changes, this and that, but otherwise it's fairly consistent, plus and minus, just a little variation. But it's gotten to a point where we can tell, like we definitely know what's been growing.
So to be fair, I trust his palate a lot more than mine. I'm more like, do you like it? Yes or no? Usually, like 99% of the time, yes. He's like, well, there's this. I'm like,
oh yeah.
Great. So you're me. Is it good? Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll drink it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's literally my story.
Well, that's it. It's you have to stand by your product.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people that come in, they're not into meat at all. They've never had it. They don't. But they trust us, and that's a bonding moment. Also, it's like, hey. I wouldn't be putting my life into this if it wasn't something to be trusted and tasted. And it's like, it's not going to hurt you. All it's going to do is expand your horizon on libations. Yeah.
Do you guys find you get a lot of craft beer drinkers who are like, ooh, let's try some mead? And then I'm assuming the Capital Region Passport definitely helps.
The Capital Craft Beverage Trail.
Yeah, okay.
The CCBT, like we joined it in July, like literally of 2021. And it's been a great experience. Like just when which is more of a rarity than it was before, and it was already rare. When we have like same time frame off in an afternoon, if we can coordinate our schedules, we definitely try to like go visit other craft makers, all the way like Lake George down to Poughkeepsie, out to Schenectady and beyond and around. And everyone on the Capital Craft Beverage Trail has been great. Like really, like very welcoming, and then we welcome them back here, and then just the participants.
They're all supportive of each other too.
It's really nice.
Bounce off ideas. Like there's in Valatia, you have Harvest Spirits.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
It's dangerous to go there because we have to figure out like, all right, so
who's going to drive? Who's driving?
Yeah, because it's going to be.
Who's biting the bullet?
You walk in and it's like, oh, we're here. All right, and then they pull out all the stops. They pull, and it's rough.
That's when it's who's driving and who's bringing home the bottle.
Yeah. In a good way. Because then it's like, oh, I'm going to, go to this barrel. We're waiting for somebody to come in of worth or something. I'm just not a regular customer or somebody that knows what, notes and this and that to pull out. But it's a nice little professional kudos.
It's I like to call it friendly competition between you guys. It's like, you want CH Evans to succeed, but also bring business this way too. So,
well, that's the whole thing. With especially with the mead community, very tight, very close knit. Royal is not around anymore. They were a meadery out here. They did things differently. A lot of session meads, a lot of frozen stuff. They totally different. Like all the meaderies that are close by have different profiles. Helderberg is, they're so far ahead, they do things their way. And anytime we have, an issue or if I have questions, I can always bounce them off of Peter there. And it's a professional courtesy as well as just, it's community also, which is great.
Yeah, he's got an immense amount of tradition behind some of his meads. They're like, he's a direct descendant of the kings of Norway. Like family line directly from it, 400 years old. Oh, yeah. And some of the recipes he utilizes are like direct, like from the royal Cook, Meadery,
Add
like
that to
family.
next capital region.
Yeah, no, and they're great. They're phenomenal. But again, like we definitely have like a different way of doing it. So it's like for us, I feel like we're like bringing mead to the people because when I'm out doing tastings at farmers markets, tasting events, local bars and restaurants and liquor stores, or even here when I'm subbing in for him when he's in Europe out gallivanting. It's like I would say, especially when it started, like 80 to 90% of the people who came in had either never had mead or didn't even know what it was. You know, like easily, like definitely above 80%, probably close to 90. And now I would say it's, at least locally, especially in the tasting room, I would say it's probably down to like 60-ish?
It's down.
50 to
it's
60.
down.
It's down, but it's, yeah.
For New York State, it's like 0.01% of wineries make mead. So,
Just make it,
just
not
being a dedicated meadery is already, you know, you already got the odds against you.
Yeah.
But
statewide, I think there's less than 20 meaderies in New York State currently, I believe.
But then it's to get to where you're successful, you need yield. So it's can't make it without the honey, and that's like when we get our honey, it's like they have a great volume. They love what they do. They love their bees, and it shows in the product. You know, it's like, and the same thing with our mead. If you don't love what you do, if you don't have passion to it, it's going to come out. And the proof is in the pudding. This is my pudding. So it's pretty
it's
much
a delicious pudding. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So it's like there are days when I'm doing 200-gallon tanks, and and I sing to it. It's alive. There's yeast. It's a living thing. So it needs to be nurtured.
Yeah. Yeast is the best because it eats sugar and it farts out alcohol and makes me happy. So
that's it.
That's the important part. I mean, speaking of the festivals and the farmers markets and the mead tasting events, like how important is that to the Bull and the Bee to draw folks from who would have never discovered you guys going to those places to bring people here in the tasting room?
Well, since we're still in many ways coming out of the pandemic, like we're directly across the Ontario from the MVP Arena, which is like the big convention center and arena in Albany. And events have definitely picked up, especially starting with the men's NCAA tournament. We had like the first round games, and I think some second round games. And then this spring, it's been great. And that's why, like, location-wise is part of the reason, like, foot traffic between the parking garage and the parking lots. But it's nice to see this year that there seems to be many more of the larger festivals. Like we've been 2 years in a row to the Adirondack Wine and Food Festival. Luckily, we won People's Choice Award for Best Meadery, or favorite meadery there 2 years in a row, which was really nice.
2 years in a row.
Yep. And the first year, all we had was Genesis. This year, I was able to actually sell 4, which was the Midas, the Joy, and the Hades, along with that. And this year, we tripled what we had done.
Wow.
Last year. In a weekend.
That's a solid jump.
No, it was great. And now before Genesis, the reason we came out with Genesis first, especially was because it is a dry mead and it is different than most meads on the market. Like ours generally have, the way Ray has made them, they have a lower viscosity than traditional European meads. And the Genesis is also really good as a mixer, as we had stated. So that's where we're actually able to get into local bars. But now having an actual line out, it's like some people are like, it's not sweet enough. It's not the mead that I want. And we're like, that's okay, And now we have the other options.
That's a problem with a lot of, in my opinion, for some people's palates, it's great. They want something that's diabetes in a glass. Perfect. Do whatever's going to be great for you.
Got him.
I've said that so many times.
I don't want something that is too cloying. I don't want it to be overly sweet. I want it to be there. There's honey in it, and a lot of mead, the honey is just, it's not there. Yeah. It's not there. It was made that way, but it's like, and for a lot of people that make wine, they don't want, what do you mean you want to taste the grapes in the wine? And I'm like, I want to taste the fruit. It's like, I understand. I want to taste what's in it. It's like, that's, in the way that we do it, I want there to be a honey profile, and that's how we do it.
And that's much stronger with the Midas, especially.
Yeah.
And that's number 2 here,
Yes,
right?
Midas
So
is
let's
the same,
let's
yeah.
talk about the Midas here, which ironically was my game in elementary school.
Oh, there you go. Oh, it's prophesized, you know?
Yeah.
And
destiny complete.
I had to interview you guys.
and that's another just traditional aspect. It's just same as the Genesis, honey, water, yeast, time it takes to ferment, and then back sweetened with the same honey that we
nose
use
is
in the
wonderful.
fermentation process.
It's really good as instead of runny honey and a bee's knees gin drink, that instead.
What's the percentage on this one?
13.
about the same.
Oh,
Yeah. We try to keep them about as close to 13%.
that's you. Toast.
Slanch it.
See, like you said, you don't want taste like diabetes in a glass, and this is below that, and then you're like, it's 13%, and I'm like,
Yep.
I shouldn't drive after this. So.
And it's also, a lot of the time, depending on the yeast that's being used, some yeast has its own flavor, and you can pull it out of everything that's made with it.
Yeah.
And you can taste it. And for what we use, it's robust, it's controlled, and you don't get that flavor. So you get a little more purity on the honey. So
Definitely
instead
get a strong
of like
honey finish to it.
like a champagne yeast where it's just you use champagne.
To me,
yeast.
it's got that taste of me adding a little bit of honey to like an orange pico tea, like that. That is 13%.
Good at what he does.
I mean,
Well, and that's so that one especially locally, we have made sixtels, like carbonized kegs of it. So we do have a session that we'll put out with that, and that's phenomenal for especially in the spring and summer.
Oh yeah.
I think that's what I had when I was here back
Okay.
in
We keep
March,
we
April.
keep a
Is
sixtel,
I'd had a bunch of other beers, and then I had terrible beer at the arena from a macro producer, and it's like, no, I need a good, tasty palate cleanser before I go to bed at my Airbnb down the street. And that's you guys being on the way to my
exactly
Airbnb is
it.
perfect. So
And the only real problem that we have with the mead is that getting people to slow down. So, which is because it's
They don't
it's
know.
easy to drink, and it's stronger than any strong beer, and they slug it down, and I'm like, you're gonna scuttle out. It's like you're crab walking out here, because you can't stand right. And
I do love seeing that is like you have, we'll say gentlemen in their 60s and above going to a craft beer bar or like a winemaker or whatever and not realizing what they're consuming because they're just used to macro. And then you have these older gentlemen stumbling up your 3 stairs, walking to whatever, and you're don't drive.
Like when people are doing tastings, they ask and they're like, all right, and then like towards the end after they've gone like through, because we do tastings like a quarter of an ounce. It's not a lot. But when they do, that's about an ounce, and they're like, oh, so wait, what was the percentage? And I'm like, 13? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you gotta. That's when I said like with the Zeus juice, especially with the Genesis, is if you just put anything else, because the dryness and the honey will just absorb the flavor. You still get the honey taste, but it's like, because it's not at what you were saying, the 14 or like 15%, where you actually get that alcohol bite or kick,
which would slow you down.
Exactly, it's super subtle. You're just like, and you're like, I'm like, yeah, that would be your second one in about 10 minutes. Are you sure you want that? Like that's like when
you just shotgunned a 6-pack.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And you need to slow down.
Might want to take it easy. You might want to switch to water.
You might want to give somebody your keys for a bit.
Yes, or Uber.
Yep.
Whatever you choose. Yeah. Uber, Lyft, all good.
Amazing. Dan, tell me about the history of the building. This looks older.
Yeah, so this building was built in 1865. And then in 1893-94, it opened as the Bulgaro Tavern, which actually is also being the Bull first is a nod to the history of the building and to the family that owned it. It was a Polishly owned Italian-American tavern and restaurant, and actually a hotel because they owned the entire building.
Okay.
And they opened it. When it opened, it was kind of like a port fight bar. The sailors from Albany port would come up and kind of, grind it out.
Have a few too many.
Right, and then in probably like the early to mid 1900s, it became more of like a refined and a staple of the local community, where there was like overnight rooms, small ones. The family lived up in the back left third of it, and then towards it's also one of the buildings that, at least as local political legend holds, stopped the Empire State Plaza from going all the way down to the river, because it was supposed to be. The Corning Tower is all gray, like granite, stone all the way down. It's supposed to be really nice in this like area right here where the arterial is. The parking lot was like Little Italy of Albany. So the guys were basically like politically active. Like, no, we're not going to sell. And then towards the end of the son's, the original owner's life, kind of like in the late 60s or like definitely in the 70s, it kind of reverted back to a Albany port fight bar. And then the building, he ended up passing away, and then I believe it closed like late 70s or early 80s. I think it was like 82, 83. The building remained abandoned. Okay. It was actually in condemned status until Traj and his business partner bought it in 2018. But when Traj was a street punk here, he actually for 6 months squatted on the third floor in the late 80s. And he actually made mead here in the third floor, randomly enough, because as a street punk, it's literally the easiest, you put it away, you do water use, hopefully it doesn't mess up or blow up, and you're good. Figure it out. And you just let it sit there, technically speaking. Obviously, it's a more refined process here right now. But with that, when he bought the building, he could still see him and some of his friends' tags, like graffiti, up on the top. That's cool. And then when we did our opening in May of 2021, we actually had some of the family members here, and that menu that's up on the wall right there actually has handwritten prices from the late 1940s. Very cool. So if you guys show that in that, it's actually got like the pricings for
that's awesome.
And stuff. So it's a very, very old building. Well, for America. Yeah. It's very old for America. Yeah.
So you guys, as you mentioned, Ray, Mead is Vikings this and Valhalla that, but you guys are very Greek mythology inspired, I find. Why that shift? Like, what made you decide Greek mythology?
When we were opening, Traj wanted to be Grecian style, which is more of like a Mediterranean, like close to a wine than the traditional ones. And he's Greek Orthodox, so he is involved in the local Greek community. So the bull in our logo is actually the Minotaur, Asterion from Greek mythology, the Labyrinth and all that. And the bee is actually in Greek mythology the messenger of the gods, and in Greek mythology the message is honey. That is literally the bee's role, because the gods drank honey alcohol on Mount Olympus, which was mead.
Yeah.
So it's like literally the nectar of the gods, the ambrosia of the gods.
Very cool.
So, and that's where like everything is like very gold, very Greek. The actual logo of the bee is literally lifted off a Greek coin. Like that is literally right off. And the design work, I think, it's pretty good. Logo's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, I am biased.
And the Greek key. And
right around.
I thought the bull might have been the one where they literally cooked people in as a torture device.
No. This is a direct reference to the Minotaur.
The Minotaur. Okay, that's cool.
Because we kind of envision him as like his labyrinth is actually like more of like forested labyrinth, where he's like his reputation's been a bit tarnished by humans talking about it over the years. It's like the truth of it is just chilling. He's making his honey.
Although I did like the version from Immortals where it was the Quebecois giant former wrestler playing, which it was like a barbed wire Minotaur head. So it's cool dude, because I actually got to meet Robert Mayette, the actor, at because we're just coming off Fantasia in Montreal, which is our big fantasy movie festival.
Yep.
So like just coming here and speaking with your Greek inspired stuff is almost. It's copacetic.
Like, well, I'm on my way to Gen Con, which is a big board game tabletop convention in Indianapolis every year. I think this is my 22nd one in a row.
Wow,
I'm pretty into it, I'd say. So we're actually bringing out. We actually have a PDF D&D. It's we actually made our Genesis dry mead into a Dungeons and Dragons magic item, which we'll be passing out. The PDF is on our.
Don't get sued by Wizards of the West Coast.
No. So it's open source. We could literally make our own D&D campaign. Basically, as long as you're using their rule set and you're not claiming you are Dungeons and Dragons, which we're not. But we're looking to be like mead and gaming is a big thing. Like, I mean, I honestly, from all the I've done hundreds of game conventions in the past 10 to 15 years, especially in the last few years, as friends in the industry. Have known that I have there. Now they're asking, hey, like I probably have like 15 requests. Dan, are you bringing mead? I'm like, don't worry, bring in some mead. But now we have that, which will be pretty cool, which is download a PDF, which directly goes back in to the Greek mythology because we're bringing our game.
Yeah, no. I used to RPG back in my 16 to 22, so 20 years ago. Oh my God, I'm old. Nonetheless, I think almost every other month we were defeating a Minotaur somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, they're huge. Like my first D&D campaign, I was 5 or 6 years old, and I bought my first D20 from Earthworld Comics, which is still on Central Avenue in Albany. So I've been RPing for a while.
It's nice to see the resurgence because there was a big lull between.
Yeah, the 90s were kind of like the nadir.
Yeah.
You know, and then D&D, especially in the last 10 years with 5th edition, they really knocked it out of the park with 5th edition. It's so easy to get into. Like, you have like now actual high school clubs that are going to like local game stores and stuff. It's phenomenal.
It's
not
chic.
to digress from the Mead.
it's nice because it's kind of chic to be geek. Where I used to get bullied like for my. It was weird.
We're the cool kids now.
I was a jock and a geek. I would play sports, but also nerded out. And so like now I can just be geek because I'm old and broken.
Yeah.
So I can just be a nerd when I want to.
Like we can transition from this conversation to like pro football or pro basketball and then back to Mead.
Like I said,
definitely. Yeah.
I was here to see lacrosse, Firewolves, so and that would be an awesome villain or monster in
the
D&D.
Firewolves would be good.
So. Have you guys thought about doing? I know you'd have a bunch of events here, but have you thought about doing a D&D kind of night or campaign?
We're actually so we're open Thursday through Sunday, and Sundays we close at 5. So we're hopefully towards the end of August or the beginning of September, I'm actually going to do at least once a month a one-shot campaign where we'll probably have like 1 or 2 groups of like 4 to 5 people that I'll DM for. So that's something we're also working on, a campaign with Asterion as a central figure in that. But that's still in the works, but we're trying to get. So that might be like part of the play test for that directly.
And then I see you do trivia nights and other events here. Like why? What made you decide, hey, let's do some trivia nights? Like,
well, let's get people through the door. You know, give them a reason to come down to downtown Albany when there is an event, either at Empire Live or the Albany Convention Center or the MVP Arena or the Egg, like we're right below the Empire State Plaza.
Yeah. The Egg is an art center, right?
The Egg is an actual performance. It's an amphitheater. It's performing arts.
Yeah, like they have Melissa Etheridge next week.
Henry Rollins has spoken there a few times.
So
I mean, they've got decent. And then like there's a lot of orchestra stuff, a lot of acoustic that comes in. But the Empire State Plaza is it's basically a giant art gallery from the museum all the way to the Capitol. So I mean, they just rotate. There's a lot of art there too. Yep.
I feel Albany's changed. Last time I was here was probably, before my little beer venture there. Booze venture, we'll call it. I was here like 12, 13 years ago for a wrestling event here at MVP. Okay. They're like, it's only a 3-hour drive. It was the night Edge won the title during New Year's Revolution.
Okay.
We drove here and there was...
What was it then? Was it the Nick then? No, it was Pepsi.
No, it would have been the Pepsi.
It was the Pepsi Arena then.
At that time.
Then
it was Time Machine.
I wasn't big into craft beer then, but there was nothing here when I came 12 years ago.
The only thing would have been C.H. Evans.
That's
Albany the only one in downtown Albany. Yeah, like we have.
Albany's really growing from what I'm seeing.
We have C.H. Evans, which is going to be Common Roots. Yeah. They bought him out when they're phenomenal, by the way. Common Roots has a taster. We love that place too. Yeah. We went up. So they're going to be, but they're keeping some of C.H. Evans going. There's Fort Orange. There's Druthers. There's 9-Pin Cider. There's Fidens that just moved in down there. That's literally just Albany. The Ramilcoy Beer Co. from Delmar is getting a spot in there. And that's just Albany. I mean, I think New York State, if I remember correctly, is top 3 in the amount, and I think it's like a ratio, but it's the amount and quality of breweries, wineries, and distilleries in the entire United States of America, which is pretty cool.
New York's like number 3.
Yeah, well, they're in the top 3 of each. I think it's like brews, we might be second. Our wineries, we might be second behind California. Yeah. And then I think distilleries, we might be 3. One of them were 2, but that's what I'm saying. Like just between like the amount. We're a very populous state, but a lot of it is down in New York City and like Long Island-ish, but there's so much more. Yeah. Like you can travel from here to Buffalo, you can go through the Finger Lakes, you can go up in the Adirondacks. It's
Vermont's
insane.
Not far away.
Vermont's phenomenal. Love Vermont. Western Massachusetts, Northern Connecticut.
You guys come up to Montreal where legal drinking age is 18. So
I went there in 98. I went there in 98 when I was 18. That's true.
Yeah. It's
St. Catherine Street.
I've said time and time again, and I know I'm a broken record, but from pretty much Detroit to the Maritimes and kind of surround, we're spoiled for good booze.
And now, mind you, as an outsider, I could be wrong, but isn't like Crescent Street like the main?
It's a party central. It's
party central. Like I've been like the Churchill up there. My favorite. There's a speakeasy, the Cloakroom. which has amazing. It's
Yes.
so it's
Yeah, they're still
Crescent.
open.
You go up, over, and then
Yeah.
up, and it's like an old men's boutique.
I
you
believe
go.
they're still open.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for craft beer in Montreal, it's Saint
Yep.
Denis and Saint Laurent.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You,
well, I'll make
that's
sure
your
I
craft
put that
beer. Unfortunately, there's no craft meadery in downtown Montreal right now. Eastern Townships, there's King Mead Maker or Meadery, because Meadery is that, and they make some tasty meads. And it was the same thing as, oh, this is 12%. I can't drive.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
you
drive
gotta
right now.
you gotta make a decision. Either do the
So-
taster and then drink a lot of water,
Yeah.
or it's like take a bottle home, so to speak.
Was pretty much downtown Albany, kind of city council, very welcoming to having the outside patio?
Yeah, they were there. So we were lucky on this side that's actually a lot of like electrical box work under the street. So yeah, I mean, we filed our permit, keep it up to date, make sure there's a clear walking path in the winter, make sure it's shoveling. But no, like the 6 tables we have out there, they've been amazingly accommodating. The downtown bit has been phenomenal for us. Like, I mean, the entire city, and we're right down the street from Excelsior Pub, which is a New York State theme pub, and then Hill Street has been the cook there, Kermit, made me pizza there in '95, and he's still there.
Over 30 years.
Well, he's like going close to 40 now. He's been there a long time, and the pizza is amazing. But like everyone local has been phenomenal. So
It's awesome.
got a good variety around.
Yeah. No, like I said, I was glad I came here to watch NLL, but also discovering the Capital Region. Like, when I was here a decade ago, this did not exist.
Yes. Yeah.
So-
There's been a downtown's also much more residential now comparatively to 10 to 12 years ago. It was probably like 6 or 7 years ago that a lot of the commercial space, and this was before the pandemic, but the pandemic, I would say, enhanced the commercial exodus with the influx of residential people, especially people who want to be close enough to New York City or Boston or around or even downtown, but still want like kind of like a city life, but they can still work remotely and head down on the train or whatever when they want to.
It's funny, too, on the drive up, I'm like, literally, if you guys had like a bullet train from Albany to New York City, it would kill New York City, and everybody would just move out this way.
Live in Plattsburgh, get to New York City in an hour?
Yeah.
Well, maybe not Plattsburgh, but close.
Yeah.
Maybe
We
like
have
Lake
people
George or
that
something.
are up here once a month from the city.
Yeah.
Like, just because like they're part of the Mead Club that we have, they make the trip. We have people from Boston that make the trip down from pretty much anywhere within 4 or 5 hours from Albany. They'll come just for our meads.
And they've joined
his pretty face.
Oh, there you go.
Power
that's
of
in
beer.
I'm the pretty face, too.
Yeah, there you go.
But so you're talking about these people have joined your Labyrinth Mead Club? What? So what is, in a sense, the Labyrinth Mead Club? Like, what kind of benefits do you get, and
So the
why join?
so the Labyrinth Mead Club, by joining it's like $5, but you get a nice little jar with a sticker on it that you can bring. It's like a mason jar in a honeycomb shape. You get immediately $1 off all 7-ounce pours for the year, and then as you go up, like each month on the third Friday, Ray comes out with a new mead that for the remainder of the month, only people member of the club can taste or get bottles of. And then at the beginning of the month, whatever's left is open to the general public. Yeah. I think this one you have a strawberry banana daiquiri.
Yep. Strawberry banana daiquiri.
Yep.
This one. And then the next is, I have to premeditate everything. So, because this way it's fermenting months before, I'm already working on the winter. So I'm trying to, last winter we had a gingerbread cookie and we had the Grinch juice, which was mint chocolate chip dessert mead, which was fantastic.
How did I come at the wrong time?
Fantastic. Yeah, I did it too for the holidays.
He was flirting with the idea of Christmas in July. But,
Yep. It wouldn't have panned out in time. Some things you can't rush a good thing, and we are ready for our process. It's right where it needs to be for our flavor and our style. Can't mess with it. Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
then the other benefits, you get discounts on merch after one, and then we're actually having a Mead Club party in August, which is going to be Sunday, August 20th.
You pretty much answered the question I was going to ask.
Right, and basically he's going to have an exclusive mead just for that night. Everyone who's been a part of the club will get a free bottle. They can buy all their bottles, but they get a free bottle for coming in. We'll be announcing that on Facebook and putting the event up early August.
Very cool. So August will be your kind of official of anniversary or is...
No, so our anniversary is May Day of every year, the 1st of May. This we started the Mead Club July of last year, so we did like the full 12 or like end of July, beginning of August. So we're doing each May. The first weekend in May is the first weekend in August is National Mead Day.
Yep,
the 5th.
Technically around that time.
Right.
So
And then
this weekend coming.
Right. So what we're going to be doing for August is mead specials, but also we try to have our one in the month of mead.
So you do 2 parties, one for the Mead Club and then one for the general public type thing?
Well, for Mead Day, we kind of stay away from partying because other meaderies just make it such a big to-do. And it's like, you know what? We have parties whenever the hell we want. You know, it's like, that's pretty much, I don't need a specific day. To decide and we, we'll get up one day and be like, you know what, discount day, and that like, hey, I'll get a friend that's in town that grills or random barbecue pop up, or, we'll have just events planned where like, you know what, let's party, boom, bounce house, boom, get a bike run, motorcycles up and down the block, it's like, there's just, you never know. And it's like when we premeditate too much, it kind of falls under, but for parties for us, it's more about, like, let's do this. Yeah, let's do it this week. Let's have it. Let's figure it out, make it work. And I always have something cooking. So I can always pull something that's, like, hey, you know what? This will be great for this. I mean, and things move, it's like.
So weekly, it's kind of like a choose your own mead adventure novel. If that makes sense. You just open to page 72. Ray has this special mead for you today. Congratulations.
Yep. I failed. Back to the beginning. Oh no, I have to drink another one.
That's it. It's like you just never know. So like for Mead Day, we'll do discounts. We'll discounts on bottles, discounts on pours. I'll probably have something out, like a rehash of something that we've done. Probably the pineapple chipotle. I'll probably re-put out again.
Pineapple chipotle.
Oh yeah.
On the drier side too.
Yeah, it's like a almost semi-sweet, a little dry, but great flavor profile.
I need you guys to ship to Montreal, or at least just to meet in Montreal somehow. So.
We can meet you at the border. You can drive down a little bit. Meet you at Plattsburgh.
Plattsburgh's just perfect.
And it's close to Burlington, Alabama.
But I won't be the only Quebec plate in Plattsburgh. There'll be lots of Quebec plates.
Well, so with our distribution, we self-distribute currently, and we're not shipping as yet. We're still trying to find boxes that fit our bottles, and I love our bottles.
Let's
talk
about these bottles. They're so unique.
They're regal. It's like
where does that come from? I mean, it's almost like it's a mix of an urn, but it's not. It's
it's like a Monster Energy can. Yeah, it's got the twist top.
The vessel itself is almost serendipitous because during the pandemic, glass was so expensive, and not only that, the major maker of glass bottles in the States here changed hands. So the new person making them, there was so many just failures that it kept getting backed up, and the price kept shooting up for stock.
Like an example for the glass bottles, not to get into like different styles and stuff, but shipping, because you either had to get to Europe or Asia, shipping alone, even towards the middle of last year, end of last year, for glass bottles was $2 plus per individual glass bottle.
That's ridiculous.
So if you get a 1,000 bottle run on a pallet, you're going to end up with like $2,000 in shipping, and that's not even counting like paying to get ahead of the line if you can, to get your stuff faster. And obviously the tanker, the oil tanker in this, was it Suez Canal, Middle East?
The Suarez.
No, it was
Panama.
Middle East.
Oh, the Middle East.
Yeah, the Middle East.
Suez.
Suarez Canal.
Suarez, but that one, I mean, prices were, I know that was out far, but there's still like, we're kind of out of that in the sense, but they're still like trying to make up for it. So we're
still having supply chain issues. Yeah. I've said we're 5 years away from any such a normalcy for supply issues.
Well, and luckily for us with these bottles, aluminum, they're made labeled right in the United States. So our shipping is significantly less than others. And they look great on the shelf.
Yeah, they're so cool
They're
looking.
reusable too, easily. You don't have to worry about a cork.
Hey,
You don't
It's
have
an
to. You
oxygen
don't.
seal.
It's
You can
an
reuse
easy
it and
yep.
actually use it like a water bottle or something.
Exactly.
I mean,
You don't have to worry about UV damage,
Yeah, at
all.
which is a big thing with glass bottles,
Yeah.
depending on how it's stored. So it's regal. You have the Greek column.
Yeah.
It's already gold.
It's like marble, gold flecked.
Nice
yeah,
little
it's,
$100 gold.
it's really
No,
nice.
the uniqueness of your cans are so cool, and cans are just so much more convenient. I don't
Yes.
have to worry about some kid grabbing a can and shattering it,
Right.
breaking his face.
Not
or
breaking
anything.
is another big thing.
Unless he's really trying to try. But
Yep. Did you want to try the Joy?
yeah, let's
Up
go
next.
with
So
Joy.
the Joy is this is a funny story. So Joy started out as Ray's winter warmer for the fall and winter of 21 into 22.
Yep, that was our
And-
winter seasonal.
Yeah, it's like mulled spice, cinnamon, clove. So in April, we actually came in, and I think it was probably like this is what the Joy was. This is our coffee, which is a collaboration with Water Oil Coffee, local chain. But it was about that low. It was like probably like early mid-April, and I walk in, I'm like, oh, you got another carbonated Joy going in the back? And this is before we had the bottles. This was like still when we're only making these four, or those three in like the smaller batches. And he's like, nope. And I go, why not? He goes, Dan, it's a winter warmer. And I'm like, that's correct, but it's also our best seller. Because I consider Joy, like I actually describe as our gateway mead. It's a great introductory mead for anyone who isn't big on a strong honey flavor, or doesn't like, they're like, all right, this might be a little dry, or they don't like dry wines that are like similar to like a sake or a Riesling, or the Midas might be too sweet, or they're just like, I don't like mead. I'm like, you're gonna like this one if you like cinnamon and clove.
Yeah.
So with
that's the nose.
I go to Ray, I'm like, no, we need to keep selling it. And he's like, yeah, I'll bring it back in November. I'm like, hold on. All right. Can you give me 24 hours just to think of some way to sell it in the spring, summer, and early fall? And he goes, only if I agree. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. So I walk in 24 hours later. he was adamant. And I come in 24 hours later, and I just walk in. I go, campfire mead. And he just looks at me and he goes, I hate you so much right now. But then he's like, the lavender staying it as a summer and spring one. I'm like, done. No problem. No arguments. Yeah. You won that. I conceded that for the Joy.
So this, it was trial and error. So I spent a lot of winters in Europe, especially Austria, Germany. They have Kringle markets on every corner. You pay, you get your token, you get a glass mug, and everybody has crock pots going to Glühwein. So just red mulled wine, it's everywhere there, and no better way to stay warm. And snow's falling, it's cold, whoop, dip it in, you keep going, and it's fantastic. That is the closest to profile that I've been able to get that's not a red wine base.
Yeah, you said campfire. It reminds me of that first ever smoked beer I had. I'm like, this would be perfect near a campfire.
If you warm it up, either like during a campfire, it'll be like decent one, like in a crock pot or like a coffee cup in the microwave for like 20, 30 seconds. It's like a honey hot toddy.
Yeah, no more than that.
Right. Yeah. You don't want it hot.
Yeah.
No, because honey.
Like
so you want it
warm. Low warm.
Above lukewarm.
Yes, above lukewarm.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
There you
I
go.
don't know if you're interested, but
And that,
cheers to toast.
it definitely, it's definitely nice, especially in the crock pot. A little extra cinnamon, you throw.
So just start
it's
throwing
aromatic.
matches on the ground and start a fire.
Yeah.
And just
Cook it right over it.
Oh yeah.
It's also really good if you cook it with desserts.
Yeah.
Put it with like a rum cake.
Yeah.
Like as a glaze over, you can turn it,
Yeah. You guys don't have food at all here?
No, so our kitchen is where
That's
Ray
our
makes our
production
meat.
space.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the big thing there. Maybe long term, but we do like food truck pop-ups, like grilling pop-ups.
Okay.
We have a
Yeah.
popcorn. People can bring food too.
Yeah.
We've had people call like, hey,
Uber
you want
Eats.
this? Yeah, there's also
Oh yeah,
Uber
it
Eats,
gets delivered straight here. They bring stuff. They'll call every once in a while and be like, "Hey, we're bringing this. Do you want anything?" And I'm like, "Thank you."
Yep. Sometimes we'll order pizzas from Hill Street or get
Awesome.
plates.
Sounds
for
like you
lunch
guys have
elsewhere.
like quite the like localized tight community here.
Oh
where
yeah,
you
and
are
there's
in Albany.
Sugarfoot Soul Food Restaurant right around the corner. They just opened up.
Fantastic.
Oh my lord! Oh my lord! Oh, so good.
Yeah. See, it's so frustrating because last time I was here, I had to eat at Kelsey's.
Yeah, then there's Cafe Capriccio, which is one of the older Italian restaurants in Albany. Also phenomenal.
Yeah.
With meatball appetizers, just not fair.
I mean, when you're driving in from Montreal just for a wrestling show, you want to get in.
Oh
and out,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
But
I mean, you want to do what you can, fast.
you want to for people who are not visiting the region, you want to experience Albany, you want to experience Schenectady, Troy, Cologne. There's so much. Boston Spa. I mean, the capital region is so much bigger and better than I'm assuming most people think. So Saratoga Springs. I mean,
Never heard it said that way.
Which way?
Cologne.
Colony. Yeah,
I never heard that.
I think it's my.
It's now I'm going to say that. It's like yes.
It's Cologne.
Yes.
What? Got you.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I think it's my Canadian accent that throws me.
Oh, that's all right.
Awesome. I know I meant to mention this earlier, but New York State has very specific, unique laws about mead. How did that? Why aren't they just kind of like mead should be somewhere between beer and cider type thing?
So the why of it, I am unsure because that is more of like a political question. But I know the State Liquor Board and actually referencing John Kern from Albany Distilling, he was instrumental in helping to write and lobby, especially for distillery. But the farm meadery license has a lot, while we're restricted to the New York State, only selling New York State sourced and produced wines, liquors, and beers and ciders, we have an amazing leeway where we can sell bottles of all of our products across the table from the beginning. Like that's so like we're kind of like a walk-in New York State liquor store or better
for
beer
local product
for New York State within our scope. So that is, I believe, extremely unique. I mean, I know like distilleries can't sell other. I mean, they couldn't. But it was like the first expansive law because I mean, New York State still has some blue laws on the books from Prohibition.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like Utica Club was the first beer bottled after Prohibition, so you know New York State has a long history involved with that. But it is. We also have the ability to open up 5 branch offices across the state, which means we don't have to produce there, but we can open up remote locations under our license here. And the New York State distributing laws are very, I found, very accommodating and welcoming to small producers because we can literally just self-distribute. I could drive all the way out to Buffalo to drop something out. I could drive to Suffolk County in Long Island. I could go straight to Plattsburgh. Where I mean, that's fair. We're actually, there's a store in Plattsburgh I'll talk to you after. That I actually met at the Adirondack Wine and Food Festival. But Vermont, we'd have to sell to the state because Vermont only allows them to sell from the state. Massachusetts and Connecticut, you have to be in distribution. So I'd have to go through a distributor. Yeah. And I mean, we're still like 2 years old, you know, I mean, we're hopefully getting to the point where we're going to need to find a larger production space relatively soon, which would be great. We're really focused on getting our meads out to liquor stores, retailers, and bars, restaurants in Albany County in the smaller regional capital district. Like that's what we're focusing on the latter half of this year. But then, you know, with expanded production, then, you know, I mean, there's only so many hours in the day for like Ray and I to go around and do stuff, you know, and then Chad's going around doing his thing too. You know, he does everything. You know, he'll help us clean. He'll help make mead. He'll help he'll bartend on occasion. Sometimes he'll go out like he just does sales. Like, just dropped off 6 bottles here. Let him know, and I'll be like, all right, cool. Guess we're doing a tasting. You know, so focused on that end. But the laws in New York State, especially for this, like I was saying, the small producers has been really nice to work with, in all honesty.
Everything I'm hearing is New York State, from craft beer to wine to mead to cider, is the state wants you to succeed.
Right, because if we succeed, state makes more money in taxes. And while that's I'm not saying that to be snarky. I'm trying to say it as a factual.
How else are you going to pay for your roads, right?
Exactly. I mean, right. Because I mean, you're taxing the sales you have in your tasting room. They want us to open more tasting rooms. I would say it took a while for me. I mean, there are still some asinine laws. I mean, there's still like, what was it? Like recently,
still a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah, like I mean, liquor stores couldn't sell till X time on Sundays for a long time.
The weird blue law that there was, like you couldn't sell anything until noon.
Yeah, that's what
Sundays.
it was. Yeah,
and then they changed it to you have to pick a day.
Yeah,
right.
It didn't have to be Sunday.
Yeah, but it's also like I haven't found something of the sort. So in New Jersey, breweries weren't allowed to show live sporting events. They actually had a 3 to 5 minute delay by law because the restaurant lobbies had been losing, people to the breweries for like watching like NFL or like NASCAR and stuff. So I remember like being down at a beer festival and I was watching like the Giants game and I like look at ESPN on my phone. I'm like, we're up by 3? What? And I was like, is this Biff from Back to the Future? Am I about to make a fortune by betting people on beers? Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna hit a 53-yarder. I got this. And then my friend Dave Lapp was like, nah, Dan, there's a delay. I'm like, what do you mean there's a delay? And then he explained it to me and my mind was blown. And I was like, well, there are worse places than New York State to have to go through the regulations and bureaucracy.
I've heard Pennsylvania is just like apparently Sundays is like very.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is definitely more restricted. Like honestly, like around us, like New York State is really are there things that could be better? Sure. Yeah. Are there things that I would find somewhat illogical and like kind of hampering or unnecessary hurdles? Sure. But overall, comparatively to other states, imagine if we had to go to like a Price Chopper or a grocery store to buy our wine that we can't get from, or you had to go to like a state. Yeah. Like that boggles my mind. But, so
every state's different.
Right. It could be a lot worse. Yeah. So we're working with it.
Could be a lot worse. Could be a little better.
Yeah, a little better, but I'd rather it be, could be a little better than it could be
like I said,
less worse.
It sounds like your state representatives are very favorable of you guys succeeding.
Yeah, and I think that's also representative, like we were saying, we're being like we're top 3 in a bunch of them.
Yeah. All right, I got one last one here. I got 2 more questions, and then we're gonna wrap things up. Okay. So, all right, what's this last one?
That's the Hades Hella Hot. It's a hot pepper blend with additional honey, and then I'll let Ray take on the descriptor after that.
Oh yeah. So originally started making
it's gonna hurt me
a jalapeno mead that was dry, and this was the sweetened alternative. I have an affinity for hot pepper. A lot of people like the heat, and especially hot pepper mead. And it was hard to get for us to have. Helderberg makes a hot pepper mead with their blend of peppers, and there was a long time where we just weren't able to source it. Supply chain issues, glass, this and that. They couldn't bottle it, and I'm like, damn it! I'm going to make my own. Yeah. And that was it. And a little experimentation, and it's like you get the fresh jalapeno, you get some habanero in there, and then there's another pepper that I'm not speaking of. That is the secret that adds the tannins in the body to it.
I have what's called a white man's palate.
It's sweet. The heat balances.
Okay. So when I tell people, like when I ask, like that's always the last one I give the tasting of. I go right down the line, and I like, do you like hot peppers? And even if someone are like, I'm like, well, it's not a hot wings test, but there's a kick. So if you want more heat, sip it slowly. If not, take more gulps. But there will be a kick, but it's not
after 3 sips.
Yeah.
It caps out on the heat.
Cheers.
Toast. Yeah. So I got the little sting on the front of my palate.
Yep. He's right over the light, so I'm going to see the
the red show.
Look for the sweat.
It's going to happen.
The beads of sweat.
The most I could do is buffalo. So.
Okay. So it's but it's not overpowering.
Right.
Now let your palate stabilize.
Yeah. No.
And then you get it.
Yeah.
And
but
then
the sweetness helps.
But you still get the heat. And then the flavor starts coming through.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
And then yep.
Yeah.
If you actually put that over ice, a little bit of lime juice, it's almost like a spicy margarita. Or it's been really like local restaurants, the Cava Crow and Savoy especially, have been using it with their pulled pork or their
using
like marinated chicken. Yeah, hot wings. We have Corey.
Yeah, uses it, makes it, turns it into a glaze.
I'll be buying some of these on the way out because I have friends who would love this back in Montreal. So. And then drag their butts.
And yes, you can travel across the border with it.
So. Well, we're going to be here 48 hours, thankfully. So
exactly. Right.
Yep. It won't make it. All right. You'll have to hit us up separate in case you run through it all.
Yeah. So one last question. I know you guys have local beers in your fridge and you deal with local artists. How do you select the local people you're dealing with here?
Normally, I look for a variety. I look for something. Everybody has their popular beers. Summertime, everybody wants a shandy. They want something fruity. They want something that's going to be refreshing. And, you have to kind of play towards what the market tells you to do. I taste
like
everything
September,
in here.
Oktoberfest,
And
stuff like
if
that.
I don't like it, I won't put it on unless I know it's a guarantee sell. You know, I'm here the majority of the time, and if I can't tell you what it is,
There's no point.
I'm not doing my job. And that's people want something, and we have a little bit of everything. We have a milk stout. We have another type of stout. We have a coffee cup stout, just for people that want the two spectrums of profile. We have ciders on tap, pilsners, lagers, different IPAs, hazies, juicy, just there's a little bit of everything. We have a cream kolsch, it's a Old Claverack.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yep. They've
They just
really
won
knocked it
best.
They won best Hudson Valley Brewery, beating out who makes Sloop Juice?
Sloop juice is Sloop.
Not like, but they won like best Hudson Valley,
like gold silver type thing.
in the New York State.
Yeah.
So that
And
was
their product is fantastic.
Yep.
They make
Craig
a blueberry
Versailles
sour.
great. Yep.
Okay.
We did a tap takeover, but I mean, not even just limited them. We do we've had common roots. Like we try to cycle through in the tasting room. Like we try to get sixtels as much as possible to allow us to have that turnover, so we can constantly do stuff.
Plus, it's breweries that we like.
Exactly.
That's the
like
important part.
we've made friendships, especially through the craft beer trail, to where it's like, hey, and they were so benevolent to us and so welcoming that it's like, hey, you know what? I want your product here. And like Max from Northway, amazing. Keith from Common Roots, amazing. Like there's so many people that we've had all these relationships with that it's like, why not? Crossroads Brewing, and there's just we want their product here.
Yeah. And mostly we've geographically mostly targeted within like about an hour
of capital region.
Yeah, the capital region. Generally,
maybe down to the Catskills.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Crossroads down in the Catskills. We've generally tried to do that just simply because we can then support the local one. And it's not that we won't get something from Buffalo or the Finger Lakes or even like Long Island, but I would say those more of a rarity because we do have 12 tap lines, but our main focus still is the mead, so that's why we're
Buffalo makes them very good. Community Beer Works, Big Ditch, their Flow Rider right now. It's like a citrus blonde, but it drinks like Tecate. It's like almost like a Mexican lager profile because of how the citrus hits. Fantastic. Wow. If it's hot outside, those things are going down, faster than something that I can't say. Yeah. So, which is,
it's been my summer of Mexican and Japanese lagers. And then when it comes to your artistry, who do you deal with?
So this is actually a piece by Silo Designs. Joe Shaver, he's literally works about 3 blocks away. The guy who designed the PDF for is Alex Vasilauskas. He's a digital creator, brother of George, who's from Zombie Planet, one of the longest mainstays local game stores. It's just relationships before. They both love mead. They actually both love the Hades. Like they both they just open it and they'll just drink it on the can while they're painting. It's amazing.
But the name association makes sense with what you're getting.
And then up there we have local art from Dan Hogan. He had a very large piece there before that too. He's more of I'd say street artist.
Street art.
Yeah.
Okay. Street art, very urban, with a cynicism for the urban outlook. Is the way I can put it. Yeah.
Great guy.
Salty dog.
There we go.
Kindred. It's
awesome deal. Guys, thank you very much for today. I really appreciate this. Anybody who is more than willing to talk to us, we can never thank enough. Who's willing to step up. For those who are looking for the Bull and the Bead Meadery Tasting Room, where can people find you?
Well, on the web, it's thebullandbee.com. On Facebook, it is facebook.com/thebullandbee. On Instagram and Twitter, it is @thebullandbee.
And what's your physical address?
Physical address is 140 Hamilton Street, Albany, New York, 12207. We are right below the Empire State Plaza, which is the funny-looking large buildings in the egg-shaped, and we're right across the arterial from the MVP Arena. So we're pretty. If you're driving by, you'll be able to see us. We had a nice bright sign.
And we're tucked away, so the patio is always nice to come in and relax on. We're not on the main roads on the main street, so we keep away from everything, and it's a great place to come in.
Amazing. Good deal. All of that's going to be in the show notes. If you enjoyed the episode, please click that subscribe and notification bell for future episodes. As for us, allbeerinside.com is the website. @allbeerinside on all social media. As I say at the end of all episodes, drink craft, not crap.
I like that.